We've all had those moments where we're staring at the screen dumbfounded at the referee's call. We can't really blame them since they can make mistakes too, but sometimes even they've got no choice. They just make calls as per the rules of the game, and some of these rules are just plain. Now in this video, we're going to talk about the 25 dumbest rules in sports. First at number 25, passing the ball during a strikeout. You're telling us that 3 strikes doesn't actually mean you're out? The catcher should be embarrassed enough if he passes the ball, but did you know the hitter can also advance to first base if he so chooses? We're going to lose it if the World Series ever goes to a player who only reached first base thanks to this regulation. At number 24, possession arrow in college basketball. Coaches don't tell their athletes to hustle from a young age, do they? This rule eliminates the crucial element when a young player gives it everything when diving for a loose ball on the ground but gets caught by an opponent player. Please throw up the ball just as the NBA does. At number 23, the 10-second free throw rule in the NBA. This rule should be lifted. Yes, Dwight Howard, a frequent offender, took far too long. Standing in the line, he had time to wash his teeth. But imagine if a player ever had this called against him for thinking about a critical free throw for too long. At number 22, how selection for any All-Star game takes place. What if the top 2 voters in different leagues or conferences would get to choose their teams from a list? Though it would be slightly more difficult. Instead of only in the Olympics, let's have some guys playing together who the fans truly want to watch and get rid of the division. At number 21, offsides in hockey and soccer. Perhaps it's time for the rules authorities to come together and simply waive all offside calls. Okay, so we agree that this will never happen, but what if the rules were changed such that players could cherry-pick beyond the final defenders after a certain amount of time had passed? That could be interesting. Next up at number 20, uniformed baseball managers. A manager in baseball is typically a former player, right? So why on earth do these players have to put on a jersey again after spending around 95% of the game in the dugout? And it's unlikely that these men would lounge around in stretchy polyester. At number 19, the catch rule in college football. It makes sense to keep it at the high school level, but college athletes aren't young children anymore. So let's stop letting them off the hook by putting 1 foot down. It's time to establish the rule that a catch occurs 2 feet down. At number 18, soccer protests. To us, protests simply indicate that a person is criticizing a choice because the result wasn't what he had hoped for. Was there a lot of snow and possibly some questionable calls during Costa Rica's game against the United States? Sure. However, they had to be handled by both teams. That's soccer. At number 17, fashion police. It's time for the fashion police to step aside and focus solely on the equipment used on the field or court. Who really cares whether a player's shirt is out of place or their socks and shoe clash, as old school experts claim? At number 16, baseball dugout cautions. We're shocked umpire warnings still exist in a sport like baseball, which takes pride in its lengthy heritage. What's more classic than slamming a guy in retribution, which has been a staple of the game? Plus, no one even now pays attention to warnings. Now at number 15, baseball's infield fly rule. We kind of get the rule, but after watching it cost the Atlanta Braves a playoff game last year, it might be wise to consider getting rid of it entirely or changing it in some other way. Players respond immediately, as anyone who has played a sport will attest. There won't be as much uncertainty without this rule. At number 14, college basketball's 5-second defensive call. There's no reason at all why this regulation should still be in existence, given that players have 35 seconds to decide when they wish to shoot the ball. The NCAA should either reduce the shot clock and maintain this absurd rule, or maintain the 35-second clock and eliminate this, as it serves no purpose in our opinion. At number 13, kickoff from 30 yards. Do you remember the times when kicking off a guy truly had meaning? Although it's crucial that the NFL work to prevent avoidable injuries, football games are frequently decided by a handful of clutch plays that have an impact on the scoreboard. Kickoff returns play a significant role in that. At number 12, MLB replay. Isn't this usually a sight to behold? Maybe we could finally utilize complete replay to establish whether a ball was fair or foul, or if a guy got tagged at the plate instead of wasting everyone's time and forcing the umpires to huddle up. It's the 21st century. At number 11, NFL overtime. Most sports in the world have games settled by a freaking coin after 60 minutes of play. It's ridiculous. The league wants to extend the regular season to 18 games, but it would be unreasonable to do so without spending the proper amount of time to decide each game's outcome. Just switch to the overtime system in college football. At number 10, baseball rain delays. Just call the game. Rain disruption should be removed. A player doesn't want to go back on the field after he's been sitting there for a while. We hate these things so much that we probably won't wait for them to end. If the game does get called and picked up the next day or later in the season, there won't be many people there to watch it. At number 9, points for hockey overtime losses. Even though the Blackhawks' winning streak was any less important, there were a few gray areas, especially getting a point for a loss in overtime. No one likes a tie, but if a team loses loses, it shouldn't get any kind of reward, even if that means going into extra time. At number 8, college sports without pros. Jeremy Bloom was a good athlete who played football and was a pro skier, but when he tried out for the Colorado football team after contending in the Olympics and other world championships on the slopes, the NCAA said no. If they refuse to pay their players, that's fine, and we could argue about why they should, but when a guy is this good at multiple sports, the NCAA has to give him a break. At number 7, intentional walks. It's called strategy, and we all know why teams do it, but that doesn't imply we have to like it. When we have to see a catcher stand up with his arm out, it's a waste of time in any sport. The goal of a baseball game is to get people out, whether it's for a double play or to avoid a power hitter. So why does a manager put a player on base for no reason? At number 6, college basketball timeouts. Yes, advertising's important during athletic events, but why should athletes put up with this? College teams already have 7 timeouts each half to use, so why do we need automatic timeouts every 4 minutes after a dead ball? Probably because some fancy bigwig needs money. There's no consistency, on top of the fact that there are simply way too many stops during a half. Let's take a look at number 5, signing your scorecard in golf. You just had the best 4 days of golf you've ever played and took home your first championship. You neglected to sign your scorecard though, as you hurried to the locker room to dry up and get ready for the TV interviews. Although we're aware that golf is a mental game, we never considered that the only thing a golfer needs to remember to do is give someone an autographed scorecard. At number 4, interfering pass. We bet that each football referee would give you a different definition of pass interference. This is due to the fact that it's one of the most subjective sports rules. We're aware of how this rule may impact the outcome of a crucial game, but it doesn't mean we agree with it. Although we won't soon be ready to accept that there was no pass interference, we don't like it. At number 3, excessive pine tar. Why is this rule still in existence, please? Can someone from the MLB headquarters explain? The response will likely be something along the lines of, because it always has been. Pine tar was not necessarily a competitive advantage in the 2000s, just because some individuals thought it was in the 1800s. At number 2, boxing scoring. There have been many cases where a judge's decision hasn't exactly been impartial. Therefore, it might be time for boxers to just start beating the crap out of each other. Stop letting a man in a suit and tie make the ultimate decision of how badly a fighter just got his face bashed in. Finally, at number 1, violations in basketball. There's no way of knowing what is and isn't a foul, in addition to it being uneven across all levels. Some officials may declare something little to be a foul. There must be some kind of restriction, but it's awful when a team loses because its best player gets the short end of a terrible call. That's all for this video. Which rule do you think is the dumbest? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content in the future. Thanks for watching. See you next time.